Hi, and welcome to WGTV Today. I'm Kim Best, your host. Today I have with me Development Services Director with the City of Goldsboro, Mr. Randy Guthrie. Welcome, Randy.
Hello, Kim.
Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to cover code enforcement. If you'll tell us, what does code enforcement mean and how is that relevant to the community?
Well, our Code Enforcement Division enforces our nuisance regulations for the city.
Nuisance regulations.
Nuisance regulations, and they only apply to the corporate or city limits of the city. Some of our regulations apply to our extraterritorial jurisdiction like zoning and sign regulations, but the nuisance regulations by law only apply to the corporate limits of the city.
All right, so what all does that entail?
Yep, well, one of the more common nuisances that we enforce is high grass. And the city has an ordinance of you cannot have grass that exceeds 10 inches in height.
Okay, is this commercial and residential?
That's commercial and residential.
All right, so if someone sees grass that stays for a period of time that is at least 10 inches and it has not been cut by whomever, the owners of the property, they can call the City of Goldsboro.
That's correct. They can call our Code Enforcement Division at 580-4313 or 4312. Or they can go to our website, and we have a citizen request tab on the upper left-hand corner that they can file a complaint.
Okay, so if you go to the City of Goldsboro's website, which is www.goldsboronc.gov, up on the top left-hand corner it says Citizen Request. Click on that, it'll take you straight to an email. Fill out the complaint, send in the email, and it will be taken care of, correct?
And we typically go on site within 24 hours of receiving the complaints.
Okay. All right, so that is if the grass is too high. What else do you all cover?
Well, we also enforce junky yards or actual junk or accumulations of junk. We do have regulations about litter, junk, and debris. You're not allowed to have like appliances in the yard or things like that. So we have regulations that require those to be removed, and they enforce that typically on a complaint basis as well. We do patrol the neighborhoods, and if we see an obvious violation, they will enforce it, but typically that is on a complaint basis.
Okay, so it's two different ways you can patrol the areas in our community and look for it, but you can also, based on complaints that are sent in from the community.
That's correct.
Well, what defines, or what is the regulations for junk in your yard, or like a junk car, for example?
Yeah, well, for junk, it's typically any area that's greater than 50 square feet. If you have a little small area or something that you haven't quite gotten rid of, that can remain for a short period of time. But if it gets larger than 50 square feet, then it has to be screened or removed from the property. We also enforce junk cars. And junk cars is a little different animal in that junk cars are actually defined by the state of North Carolina what constitutes a junk car.
Okay, so not local regulations at that point. Okay, so what are some of those regs?
Some of those regs would include it has to not have a current license plate. It cannot be operable in how it was intended to move. Has to be wrecked or dismantled. And there's a dollar amount established by the state as to its value as well.
Okay.
We do have an exception as well that you're allowed to have one junk car if you keep it in the rear yard, but it has to be covered by a manufactured car cover. So
I couldn't go to Walmart or any given store in your area and just pick out any car cover or a tarp or something like that and throw over it. It's got to be one by a certain manufacturer.
It could be a professional car cover. It just can't be like a blue tarp or something.
Okay. Okay, so that's the difference. It can't be a tarp or just something you decide to throw over it. It must be a car cover that was intended to be used that way.
That's correct.
Okay, so back to junk in your yard. How about like if there's furniture on your porches that have been there and that are in bad shape? Is that defined under junk?
Typically, we don't have that type of regulation that regulates junk furniture on porches. If it's out and visible
in the yard,
and when it would exceed that 50 square foot rule, then possibly. But we don't have a regulation that regulates the type of furniture on your porch.
Okay, but in your yard, that is the situation. That is considered junk. Okay. All right, so tell us one more time the different code enforcement lines that they can call, and we'll talk about the citizen request one more time.
Yep. Well, they can call 580-4312 or 4313. That's the direct lines to our code enforcement officers.
Okay.
Or they can go to our citizen request tab on our city's website and file a complaint electronically through email that we will respond to. We typically respond to these complaints within 24 hours, at least going out in the field and investigating them. And we do have a due process procedure. We have to notify the property owner to give them 10 days to remedy the violation and an effort to clean up the property.
Okay, so you do give the property owner an opportunity themselves to take care of it before the city steps in.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, thank you, Randy. That's been extremely informative. We appreciate you being here today and providing this information to the community. So if you've seen something in your area that you feel like you need to report, Randy has given you several options. So take heed on that, and don't forget our website. It's www.goldsboronc.gov, and look for that citizen request, and we'll be glad to take care of that for you. Once again, this is what's happening in your community. Thank you for joining me, Randy.
Thank you, Kim.